Welcome back to the channel, folks, and to another battle report. And I'm pleased to say we've got a special guest, special opponent, so to speak, in the game today, and that's Jacob from Lack of Foresight Gaming. Now, you guys probably know Lack of Foresight Gaming already, but if you don't, if you've not checked them out, go over, give them a sub, and follow the channel, because they've got lots of Flames of War content, lots of battle reports, and a really interesting Stalingrad campaign on the go too, which has got some really nice looking terrain for the city battles. So check them out, guys. So we're back with some more Berlin Soviet action for you folks. I am taking the Red Banner Company, backed up with some hero IS2s, so nothing but the best. We shall see. And Jacob has got a Bulge German assault, Ardennes assault formation with a twist. So we've already seen, we've seen the Red Banner Company in defence. We have seen the IS2 in attack. So now we're going to see the Red Banner again with some IS2 support and a bit of a meeting engagement basically to see how they fare. So far it's one win for Red Banner, one defeat for the IS2s. Both games are really close and could have gone either way. So we'll see how this one pans out. But anyway, let's go over, say hello to Jacob and see what he's brought in his list. Hello Jacob, Lack of Foresight Gaming. Welcome to the channel. It's really good to have you on.
Thanks for having.
Now, it's a wee bit early in the morning for you over there. This is how keen you are to get a game in. It's very dark and very early, isn't it?
Yep, it's about 0 dark 30.
Right, so we'll have to give him some allowance if he's got to go off and drink lots of coffee, guys. And then if he gets hyperactive because of it, then that's fair enough. Now, you bring in Germans today. You've got a very particular list you want to try out. So if you could maybe talk us through it.
Absolutely. All right, so I'm building from Bulge Germans. The core of the formation is going to be taken from the Brigade Armored Assault Company. I've upgraded with the 106 Panzer Brigade Feldherrenhalle cards. That's the experienced grenadiers, the experienced self-propelled guns, experienced 12cm mortars, and the experienced flamethrowers. These cards all have to be taken in conjunction with each other, and they upgrade pretty much the entire formation, minus any of the tanks, to confident, careful veterans. The one standout is the flamethrowers become reluctant instead of confident, but that's okay. No one wants to be stuck in a flame tank when it's brewing up. Totally fair. So, for the formation itself, we have the HQ with the 2 STG-44s and the half track. We have 2 Brigade Armored Assault Platoons with 7 STG-44 teams with Panzerfausts and 4 half tracks. We have 2 of the Brigade Armored Triple 15mm flak platoons, each with 3 of the 15mm STKFZs. We've got a Brigade Armored 8cm mortar section with 2 8cm mortars, a Armored Flamethrower platoon with 2 flame tracks, and a Panzer 470 platoon with 3 Panzer 470s for some anti-tank support. In support, I've taken the Me-262 fighter bomber flight because I love to see them, and I don't see them too often. The Panzerwerfer 42 battery with 4 Werfers and an SDKFZ 250 OP, and that should put us at about 100 points.
Okay. So that's an interesting list. It's a way of playing one of the Bulge lists, but with better quality troops. So that's hopefully interesting for the viewers to see. So let's go over and have a look at my list, a Red Banner list, and we'll take it from there, folks. So here is today's massive Soviet list. You can get really big lists like this, folks, in Berlin Soviet, but these guys are careful, fearless, veteran in the main. You know, so that's a good set of soft skills for you to take before you start tooling them up with weapons. So what have we got then? We've got HQ and then 2 platoons of 10 bases. Now, I've also added a heavy machine gun into each base mainly for defensive fire, if they're going to be getting assaulted. You could use that'd be 2 points. You could use that to give them a Faust if you wanted on HQ, but you know, they've got 2 Fausts each already. That's quite a lot of Fausts. And then this way I get a bit of protection against infantry assaults as well as tank assaults. So still part of the formation, we have the mortars. That's 82mm mortars. The standard always take them because they're really cheap, and the reroll misses mortar platoon. And then also this assault tank platoon, 2 T-34-85s and an ISU-152. These guys, by the way, are aggressive. Know that they don't have the careful status of the infantry. Then in support, first of all, first time I'm using them in a game, I have to see if they come up against an opponent that they will be effective against, because they're only anti-tank 2. These are the 160mm mortars. Firepower 2 guys, very attractive. Will these guys replace my 122mm artillery? Well, that remains to be seen. There's 6 points compared to 8 for the 122mm. They have got better firepower than the 122mm, but less anti-tank. 122mm can destroy top armour 0. These guys got a 1 in 6 chance compared to a 1 in 3 chance. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, 6 points is very attractive. It might mean you can squeeze in other options into your list, but the proof is in the pudding. They also have an observer. Now, because they're a support artillery weapon, you can get an observer with them. And then Hero IS2s. This is the late IS2s, front armour 11. These guys are careful, confident veteran with bed spring armour. 37 points so for 3. We'll have to see if that is a bit of a luxury the Soviets can afford. So there you go, folks. Not the biggest list that you're ever going to deploy for your Soviets, but certainly a capable list in terms of their skills. Today's mission is Encounter. It's a very straightforward mission in terms of the deployment zones, in terms of how each player compares to the other for deployment and reserves. You can see that one player is going to nominally be the attacker and choose where they're going to attack from. And then you've got very simple deployments opposite each other with delayed and scattered reserves. Now this means it's a very good test of your list, because you have to be able to hold an objective and then take an objective at the same time to get the win. And your reserves are delayed and scattered, so you're not going to be able to guarantee when they're going to come in or where they're going to come in. Other than the delayed and scattered reserves, the only other rule is meeting engagement, which means the player who goes first in turn 1, not player who goes second in turn 1, but just that player who goes first in turn 1, which incidentally will be determined by the roll of a dice, then they will not be able to fire bombardments, use planes, and any shooting will be done at moving rate of fire. So it can be a disadvantage to go first if you've got perhaps an artillery edge over your opponent in this game. So there's lots of unpredictables. Very simple mission, but a lot of interesting things can happen in it. Right folks, we have deployed. This side, Jacob chose this side to defend. As the attacker rather chose this side here, leaving me that over there. He placed his objectives, one in this corner and one in that corner, to basically stretch my formation as much as possible. And then I placed one over here in this corner and one in the middle. I'm thinking I could place one over in the far corner, but the chances are Jacob's going to be attacking up that way anyway. So I won't try to go head to head on both objectives, if that makes sense. Now, in reserve, Jacob has got his plain Panzer IV 7 Ace, flame half-tracks, mortars, and 1 anti-aircraft platoon. So it's quite a lot of units that are in reserve, partly because of the low cost of the individual units. On the table, he's got HQ mounted up, brigade, assault platoon mounted up, and then we're using this as the 250. I don't have a 250 painted, so we're using that as a 250 observer. It's the same kind of size. Then an aircraft platoon here, Panzerwerfers here, watching that objective. They've got heavy machine guns, so they can at least defend themselves if approached by infantry. And then these guys are dug in, so he's been more defensive on this side to look after that objective. He's behind the tree line to a large extent, which should give him some protection, and he has got half tracks ready to be brought forward if he's got an opportunity to advance, or perhaps he needs those machine guns for defensive fire. So myself, it's a tricky one for me. He's got a big massive salvo template, so it's going to hurt, but you know, there's only certain places I can put things. So for instance, over here is an infantry platoon plus the mortars. That way the mortars can fire against both objectives with a 40-inch range. So that's a big juicy target. Line of sight might be tricky to begin with to range in on me, but it's a big juicy target. Got my HQ here to support both platoons, and the second in command is up front a bit because I've got a wee task for him. My heavy mortars are kind of exposed out in the middle there. But once again, if I put them with another unit, well, that unit's going to attract mortar fire, Panzerwerfer fire for sure. So I'll put them in the middle, see what happens. And then the last unit is over here. Some guys, one base in the building, sorry, can contest that objective. Otherwise, everybody's outside and dug in. So that is us for deployment. I'll take away all these markers, we'll roll off for first turn and then come back. Turn 1. Soviet turn 1. So I won the dice to go first. I'd rather go second so I could actually fire my mortars before they get clobbered. But as it is, I am going first. So in terms of movement, the infantry have moved up behind the buildings and then followed me to get some of them into some in here and here. Maybe actually one in there as well. Maybe not. So they're in the buildings, which means they're now visible to the Panzerwerfers, you know, but I'm not going to be able to hide, and I'd rather defend that objective a bit further forward to split my mortars and my infantry up. The HQ is here for support, second in command in there for visibility, because he can be a spotter as well. And that's going to be it, folks, because the only weapons I've got on the table that can shoot this turn are rifles or heavy machine guns, and I've nothing to shoot at. So over to Jacob for his turn 1. German turn 1. So in terms of movement, these guys are staying put, keeping their heads down, watching for developments, keeping that objective safe. The AMGs have got pretty much freedom of action, so they've dashed out into the middle of the table with lots of options available for them next turn. And then over here, the observer is dashed up to here. It's a good position. You can see up that way, you can see over there, and then through that gap to a degree. And the half-tracks have dashed up as well, including the HQ, so they're in a position to start shooting them up next turn. So that just left one thing for shooting, which was the Panzerwerfers. And they ranged in, second attempt, over there. They got 1 kill. I should put a red marker down when I'm doing it this way, folks, but one guy there dead. Another couple of hits, failed saves, but failed firepowers. But next turn, these guys could be in a spot of bother, because they'll be re-rolling successful saves. So there you go. A good start to the Germans for turn 1. Turn 2. Soviet turn 2 start step. Those guys unpinned. In terms of movement, I brought 2 guys over from that platoon, 2 guys over from that platoon. The reason I got 2 is those platoons have Panzerfaust, 2 each. So they could hurt those half-tracks or get killed trying to hurt them. The infantry here have all moved into these buildings. There's quite a few infantry in these buildings here. Those guys are just staying put. They're just going to have to take the pain. Then in terms of shooting, I ranged in with the I forgot to reroll misses, but I ranged in with these guys on here on the second attempt, and I hit none, but I'm going to reroll them. The heavy mortars ranged in, the 160 mortars ranged in here and managed to hit 2 and got a bail. They're top armour 0 against anti-tank 2s. I mean, the anti-tank isn't great, it's still just a mortar. But they're just going to have to try and whittle them down, see what they can do. But that was it for shooting, really. I'll do some rerolls. I still need 5 to hit those guys because it was second attempt and they're careful. But I might bail one out, you never know. And then we'll go over to Jacob for German turn 2. German turn 2. So in the starting step, that did not remount. In the movement step, you can see the anti-aircraft half-tracks are moved around to get shots on these infantry here. They had a very specific reason for going for them and not for the mortars, and we'll come to that. In the town, the spots stayed put, the HQ dismounted into here, and infantry moved up to get into assault range, and they had 3 vehicles that were able to get into assault range. So in the shooting phase, these guys got 4 hits on those 2, managed to kill 1, but that's more importantly, they had 4 hits to try for the pin. These guys, through the smoke, needed 7s, managed to get 1 more hit. So that pinned for defensive fire, which was crucial. While the smoke came from the Nebelwerfers, spotted by this guy here. That was enough to protect him on the way in. So, in terms of the assault, that worked. I needed 6s to hit them in defensive fire with 2 Fausts, which they missed. But then the assault itself, when it went in, let me think. They came in the first turn they killed 1. Then I motivated to counter-attack and I got 2 bales. Then they motivated to stay in with just 1 half-track left, got another kill. I then motivated to stay in, got a kill. These 2 here were clobbering that poor guy, and as they were the only 2 guys left, they were hitting him with 2 Fausts. It was quite ugly. Got a kill on him, so the infantry inside are dead. Then they broke off. Now, that was bailed out. Infantry don't get the opportunity to dismount during the assault phase. So, unless we're wrong, we'll consider them to be dead along with the half-track when it was captured. If we are wrong, please point it out to us folks and show us where it is in the rules, because it's a little bit of an area I've never come across before. But Jacob wanted to get the assault in quick. If he could start pushing me back off this objective before my reserves arrived, then he thought he was going to be in a good position to just keep forcing these guys out. He's armoured, loads and loads of machine gun shots. I'm not, but I think the Fausts in the end were what did it for me. So, he's got these guys still being a nuisance. I reckon they're going to be a very big nuisance. I am going to have to try and do something. That's why these guys are coming over. He at least is still put, and potentially getting some Faust shots into them and see if by some miracle they can be saved and actually do something in the game. Turn 3. Jimmy turn 3 starting steps. So what happened there, folks? First of all, motivations. These guys unpinned. Then 1 dice for reserves, but no reserves. Then movement. Everyone over there is staying put. They've really just got to try and keep their heads down, try and stay alive. A couple of bases kept moving forward with the Fausts to go against the half-tracks. Then in terms of shooting, they managed, they got 2 shots, but they were needing 5 to hit because of in fact 6s to hit because of Faust slow moving and out of command. And then that wee guy there, he got 1 shot and managed to get a hit, but only a bale, never managed to pass his firepower. No assaults going in there, folks, because there's too many guns left alive to shoot. Now, my big mortars were ranged in over here. They managed to get a double bale on him, but he passed, and another bale over there. So I might be weakening them a bit. We'll see how it goes. And then the 6 tubes tried to range in over here as well, but never managed it. So I'll bring over to Jacob now. He's got to think about what he's doing over here. There's only got 2 half-tracks left. He's got options here to be very, very nuisancey to me. Plus he's going to be rolling for reserves. So let's go over and see what happens in his turn 3. Jimmy turn 3. So what happened in that turn? First of all, motivations. He got back in that Panzerwerfer, but he didn't. So they're at 3 guns, so they're still fully operational, really. And then in terms of reserves, these guys, one dice successful, rolled for over this corner, so they've come on, moved up to that tree line. So they're now in a position to shoot directly at anything that comes on towards the centre of the table-ish. Other movement, the infantry dismounted, moved up to here. HQ moved with them. His half-tracks there, their half-tracks there. And these guys moved up to here. He's still going to try to batter that objective, which is getting really whittled down. So in terms of shooting, let me think now, there was a hell of a lot of shooting going on there. You've got the anti-aircraft half-tracks, hit him 3 times, he made 3 saves. He's not in bulletproof cover, but he made 3 saves. These guys got a couple of hits, they got some hits, the half-tracks got some hits. In the end, what happened was, half-track managed to kill this base of infantry. That cut down the possibility of an assault this turn. Only 1 German base was then in range, so Jacob decided he's going to stay put. He's got bulletproof cover to his front, so he's not too worried there. Now, I've got to mention the Panzerwerfers ranged in here. Didn't get any kills, but they are now in danger from those Panzerwerfers. They were rerolling successful saves. So, still making progress over there. If he can keep his infantry alive, there's a chance he can get me pushed off that objective. We just have to see if I get any reserves in, and if I do, where the hell they arrive. We could find that the dull and boring corner is where everything comes on in this game. Turn 4. Soviet turn 4. So in terms of motivation, everything went fine. The guys unpinned, and the railway station unpinned. And then I got reserve, folks. Rolled 2 dice, got 1, and it came in over there, which is probably good. I would have preferred them right in the middle, and then I would have just slammed right into those anti-aircraft half-tracks. But I suppose over there they're helping to protect the train station a little bit more directly. So in terms of other movement, there wasn't too much. This heavy machine gun that was in here moved up to here to get line of sight on them. They've not got great armour. I might get bales, you never know. These two guys are continuing to chase here. In terms of shooting, well, the mortars, they ranged in. All mortars now ranged in here. Didn't have any effect. I think they actually just missed most things even with rerolls, but they made their saves when they were hit. The worst the mortars can do, the ordinary mortars, is a bale on them. The 160 mortars managed to get another double bale, but they passed the motivation again, so they've passed a couple of double bale motivations, but their saves have been terrible against the anti-tank 2 of these. They've not rolled a 1 yet. If they roll a 1, they'll probably get destroyed because they're a 2 of firepower, but they keep rolling 2s for the saves. Then over here, these guys here, all the firing, they got 1 hit on a 6, and it was a bale. These guys have gone to ground, and then here, using their AA machine guns at short range, managed to get 5 out of 6 hits, which is pretty bloody good shooting. The only thing that happened though was a double bale on this guy, and he legged it. The other 2 are perfectly fine. So they are still in a condition to be very a big nuisance for me, and quite a dangerous nuisance for me too. So I've got some support in over here, and was very glad to see it. These guys are getting worn right down. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's maybe only about 6 guys left in that platoon now. Oh, 7 if you count him. So they're getting pretty well smashed about. We've both got reserves on. I'm sure the rest of the reserves will start to arrive. We'll no doubt see some ME262s at some point in the near future. So over to Jacob for his turn 4. German turn 4. Now in terms of motivation, first of all, I think there was only one issue, which was a bailed out Panzerwerfer didn't get back in. Everything else was okay. In terms of reserves, 2 dice roll, but nothing coming up. In terms of movement, these are dashing around to get in a position to engage the IS2s. Now remember, the IS2's range is 28 inches compared to 40 inches from them, so they'll be able to, if they can see the IS2s, are pretty much going to be shooting them. The rest of the movement was a bit of digging in, which some of it failed. The platoon failed, HQ passed, and then the anti-aircraft half-tracks have moved over to here to keep away from my guys running after them, running out of breath, running out of Panzerfaust, I would imagine. And then in terms of shooting, the Nebs lifted their ranged in and went for here and rolled a 1, a 1 and a 1. Jacob wants to start wearing down all these guys so that there's a possibility A of some movement on this side and also stopping any movement from me. Then over there was an absolute bucket load of dice going in against them, and they ended up pinned. Even on 6s, they still got pinned. But any failed saves did not result in a pass firepower. Most of the hits were from rifles and a firepower of 6. So, pinned, but that's it. So he's still there, he's still very much threatening that objective. My IS2s have arrived, but these guys outrange me. They've got a very good anti-tank of 14, which can kill my anti-tank 11. Even at range, they can still kill them. So, we're starting to get some proper action, I think, folks, and we should see some more things happening now. Turn 5. Soviet turn 5, folks. So in terms of motivation, everything was okay except these guys. They did not unpin. In terms of reserves, the last reserves came in and they rolled for over in that corner. You can see them over here. It's the assault tank thingy-majiggery. So in terms of movement, my IS2s, I tried to get a blitz. If I managed to pass it, I was going to move myself down into cover. Whoops, down here. But I failed it, so I'm just keeping myself back, because being up on the hill and exposed makes me a lot easier for these guys here to hit me, because I'm now in range. Other movement, a couple of guys kept running over here. The red bases might give you a hint to what happened. In terms of shooting, there was a couple of foul shots but missed, because these guys are careful and therefore a lot harder to hit by roving Faust teams. They managed to get one hit in a bale. Unfortunately, mistaken target moved it from here to here. Otherwise, I could have got an assault in. We'll come back to that. This heavy machine gun decided to open up on the Panzerwerfers. Got a hit, but it was mistaken targeted onto the one at longer range, so it was fine. Passed it safe, no problem at all. The 82mm mortars and the 160 mortars are all ranged in. The 82s can only get a bale. The 160s managed to get a kill though. So that's progress, whittling them down. And then in terms of assault, I decided these two guys against 5 dice of counter fire or defensive fire, they got to go for it. So they did. They took 2 hits and failed both saves. Otherwise, they maybe could have finished off that half track and it caused problems over there. As it was, they just died gloriously. So all my stuff's on over here now. I am worried about them because they can't kill me, and more importantly, they're going to have several turns of shooting against me to before I can even get close to them. So I've got to try and outthink them rather than outshoot them, I think. So over to Jacob for his turn 5. German turn 5, folks, and it's starting to get a bit tense. Lots of things getting killed in important places here. In terms of motivations, first of all, he didn't get back in, so they were down to reroll successful hits. I think that was it. In terms of reserves, only one arrived. It was a plane. It came in over there to bomb the IS2s. In terms of shooting, these guys ranged in. Second attempt, or first attempt? What first attempt? But they had to reroll successful hits because of the 2 guns. Lots of bases under here, but no hits this turn. These moved up and managed to get 1 hit at long range on the assault guns. I think now it was IS2 that was targeted. I kept it on it and it just managed to get to match the anti-tank. Failed firepower meant it got away scot-free. Now over here, the infantry moved up. There's not a lot of infantry left. There's 1 base from that platoon left. Infantry moved up. We'll come back to that, right? The plane now, it tried to drop bombs on the IS2s. 4 dice of anti-aircraft fire, needing 6s to hit. And I managed to hit him twice. He failed to save, but I failed my firepower. So the planes went in, rolled a 1, a 2, and then a 3. And with the hill being there, there was no way of getting any range in. So they did nothing this turn. Now the infantry moved up against this platoon here, and I'm going to move up a bit closer to show what's left. They lost 1 base on to defensive fire, came in, killed the commissar, and then I managed to motivate without the commissar, and I managed to kill a base here. Then that one was missed. Attack against him was missed, but he broke off even with a reroll from the HQ. He broke off. My survivors are kind of consolidating back in here going, oh no, this is getting grim, folks. There's only 4 of us left alive. But these guys are pretty well thinned down now. So hopefully that objective is okay. But they could still be shelled out of it. Now, he's dead. Take him away. So, my tanks are over here. I'm a little bit worried about him. But I might be able to get a shot now. I might be able to shoot back. Get in range with my IS2s and maybe do what they're supposed to do. And then these guys can maybe go off and do something else. But I'm certainly no closer to taking an objective. If the objective was away over there, maybe I would be. But maybe then Jacob wouldn't have been quite so aggressive on that flag. Turn 6. Soviet turn 6. So in terms of motivation, everything was fine. In terms of movement, the IS2s are moved up to get into range of them. They're also now in range of each other. The assault guys stayed put to shoot. In terms of shooting, the mortars firing over here didn't get any effect this turn. A few hits, but no effect. The IS2s actually managed, needing a 6 because we were moving, long range, aggressive, concealed. Managed to actually kill one of the Panzer 470s. The T-34s and ISU 152 tried to get the company HQ, you can see just there, but didn't get any hits, needing 5s, but nah, no hits there. And this wee guy was just in range with a Faust to shoot him in the back and rolled a 1. So he's not having much luck with his Faust, this guy. The London Fausts are not being very successful in this game. So that's it for me, really. It's now going to come down to a bit of a duel, and then we'll see who's got freedom of action, as in who's still going to be left alive. German turn 6. So first of all, in terms of motivations, whoops, they're back to 3. The an aircraft half-track did not remount, but they passed their last stand. In terms of reserves, there's a whole lot's coming in. So first of all, over this side, flamethrowers. They would have been handy over that side perhaps, but they're coming in over here. So Jacob's just going to keep them there to try and keep pushing on that side. Then his other half-tracks come in here, mortars, which can now put some pain down there, and flak half-tracks, which could potentially take this objective. So in terms of shooting, these did some shooting between them at these guys, but did nothing. No effect. The plane came into... the plane went for these guys, and that second turn in a row, it never ranged in, folks, because of the terrain. Now, in terms of other shooting, let me see. The Nebs. The Nebs ranged in here. Got loads of hits, no kills, but they are pinned. These guys, Panzer 470s, 4 shots, 1 hit, but I rolled a 3, which was enough to bounce it at long range on an IS2. HQ moved around the side to get 5 shots in, but missed. This mad platoon commander thought, I'm not going to live much longer anyway. Charged forward to see if there was any possibility of getting an assault, but with him, the half-tracks, the flak half-track, there were not enough successful hits. I think only 2 hits, so no pin, so Jacob's just going to leave him there and say, deal with me. So, this might be where it's all happening now, folks. Jacob's got a chance to go on and clean out this objective. I've got a platoon infantry here, but it's just a platoon infantry against lots of shooty things. So they might be in trouble. Turn 7. Soviet turn 7, so let me see. These guys unpinned. I think that was it for pinning. As far as movement goes, right, there was a general movement from here over to here and out to there, because I had to protect this objective. The T-34s moved around, the IS-2 stayed put to get shots onto the HQ. Everything else stayed put and fired. These guys survived the mortar fire with no issues at all this turn. Then over here, this wee guy got hit 4 times by fire from here and he survived. He's quite happy. But the HQ got splattered, 7 hits and all died. They failed the warrior save as well to jump over to the remaining guy in that platoon. And then he finally managed to hit that, but didn't kill it. I fired at a stationary rate of fire, which means he couldn't assault. I should have really done it at his moving rate of fire, but I never declared that, so he can't then go in and grab it. So they're still alive. These guys were missed. 3 dice, looking for 5s. The best I got was 2 4s. And then over here, I managed to get an assault out with the building. One of them was sneaking up in tanks. The other 2 that came out had 5 defensive fire from him only, because they conga lined to here. And then they took 3 hits in defensive fire, but managed to save them all. I killed one, build 1, using Faust. The other one broke off, so the build 1 was captured. He's now a little bit lost, but I can't go forward, I can't do anything. It's kind of going the way I expected in terms of what my infantry would be able to achieve in this game, in terms of getting around the table. But anyway, let's see if these guys can finish off some IS2s. Let's see what this wee heroic guy there can do. And the flak half-tracks that have managed to survive all the way through this whole game, let's see what they can do in Jacob's turn 7. German turn 7 recaps. So in terms of motivation, the wee guy ran away. But the half-tracks are active and having some fun. But that last surviving infantry platoon moved away. and there was nothing else. Oh, he passed his last stand. So in terms of movement, he stayed put just to get shooting. Those half-tracks moved up against the mortars. The plane arrived against, sorry, and it went after the IS2s. These half-tracks have just blasted along the road. And these have stayed put. Oh, got to put a smoke screen down here, folks. Forgot all about that. 1 second. I'll figure out exactly where that is going to go, but I'd imagine at the very least it'll be like that. They put a smoke screen down. They managed to range in here, but third attempt didn't get any hits. These guys managed to get another hit on an IS2, but once again it saved. And then it was assaulted time. They fired some shots but got no kills, but they came in, assaulted 2. They passed their killed 2 in assault. They passed their motivation, stayed but couldn't move to contact, but then they ran off. But that's same now, down to 2 guns. I think they've had it. I'm surprised they've lasted as long as they have. So these infantry are now moving up. Their half-tracks are behind them, so they can start mounting up and then make a charge on to this objective. So it's for me, guys, it's really just trying to stay alive, really. I've not been able to get my infantry forward, first of all, because they were under a hell of a lot of pressure, but secondly, if they came forward here by themselves, just going to get machine gunned to bits by these guys and those half-tracks, because they would have arrived too. So I'm just going to try and hold on for a draw. Turn 8. Soviet turn 8. Everything was okay in terms of motivations, as far as I can recall. In terms of movement, the assault gun platoon is moving up. The infantry have decided, let's go for a wee wander, folks. That objective is secured, but there's almost none of us left alive. I've moved my spotter because I now need to get some help down here, dropping artillery down here, and any artillery I may have left. And then infantry have all piled back to here. Oops, 1 second. They've all piled back to here to get ready for the Panzer Grenadier assault. In terms of shooting, he died to a double hit from Faust's. These mortars tried to range in over here, but no luck. The IS2s managed to get a hit and a kill on another Panzer 470. These T-34s killed him. And I think that might have been it for shooting. So they'll be last standing, and they are reluctant, but because of German, that means a 4, not a 3 when it comes to their last stand. I've just got to see if I can roll my guys over before these guys get here. German turn 8, so in terms of motivation, the Panzer 470 stayed. That flak half-track finally gave up the ghost and legged it. And I think that was it. So the plane's not turned up this turn. In terms of movement, the infantry are moving up. The half-tracks all pass cross-checks to come up with them. These are staying put to drop a bombardment. The Panzer 470 is staying put to do shooting. Now in the shooting, it managed another hit against IS2s, but so far they've not rolled a 1 or a 2, these IS2s. So it's still alive. They're still alive and managing the saves. The Nebelwerfers, using this observer here, managed to range in right here. I'll put a marker down, there we go. Splatter in that area, but on the third attempt it got a hit against 3 mortars but no kills, no hits against the red banner guys, not in this turn. This here, ranged in here and got another 3 hits. I think we forgot to reroll successful hits because there's only 2 guns, but they never caused any casualties on the mortars, but the mortars are pinned. And that's it for shooting, folks. Over to me to see if I can save myself from the fire over here. It's actually turn 9 now, folks. Soviet turn 9, and in terms of motivations, everything was okay. In terms of movement, well, these guys tried to dig in but didn't, even though they are veterans. So they could be in a lot of trouble. There's all these guys going to come up and shoot the hell out of them next turn. These have dashed over, leaving him behind. He's coming along as quick as he can. IS2 stayed put. My infantry, though, ran along to try and do some shenanigans and get in the game. Now, as far as shooting goes, the IS2s managed to get another hit and a bail, just a bail this time, on the Panzer 470. I think it matched its save. These infantry moved up, tried Fausting. The spotter didn't get him with the shooting, but got him in the assault phase. Got a spotter here, and the position of these mortars with the terrain that was visible. Managed to get 2 range ins over here and kill just the one base, but they're pinned, and that, I'm hoping that will help me in time to get these guys dug in and these tanks along. Now, I think that was it for shooting. So as things stand, will these guys remount? Will he stay? And then, I kept forgetting, I should have been doing shooting and scooting with these guys every time they fire to just try and move them up. Because they're not doing anything out there. And they've got a 3-up skill, so I should have been doing that. So, depends what happens next, but they could well come forward. But I know I'm going to get my T-34-85s over, which should give me the security I need on this side of the table. But who knows? This armoured artillery still in the game. They're going to have problems ranging in now because of the lack of a spotter. But they're ranged in here just means it's harder to hit me. You can still hit me. I'm still re-rolling successful saves. German turn 9 now. In terms of motivations, these infantry did not unpin. The Panzer 470 remounted and stayed. And I think that was it. So in terms of movement, the infantry moved back to the half-tracks, they were behind them, which isn't moving towards the enemy. Remounted, and then the half-tracks are swung around here. So those guys are still pinned inside for the moment. They could easily rally. Flame half-tracks moved up to deal with the mortars, and as you can see, they dealt with them. So in terms of shooting, he missed. That's the first time that platoon's missed. They've been getting a 6 every turn, but they missed. Oh, the planes never turned up again. Then in terms of shooting, these guys got a couple of hits and managed to get one guy. And then the artillery, these guys here managed to get a mortar and one of the red banners. They're at a penalty now of 1 to hit because they can't see the aim and in point. These guys here managed to get a couple of hits but no kills. So I'm going to see if I can come over now and try and deal with this and see if there's any way of maybe pushing on towards the objective. Turn 10. So, as far as motivations go in that turn, everything was okay. As far as movement goes, these guys actually managed to dig in, I'm glad to say. They stayed put to shoot at them. A disaster. They stayed put to shoot at him. Infantry moved over as well, so they're in a position to do some fausting. And he got stuck on the wall. So, in terms of shooting, they actually managed 2 hits this turn and killed him, so they weren't needed. These 4 shots on a 4 and missed every one. Then these tried to range in here and did not range in here. So I passed a shooting scoot. I should have been doing shooting scoots right from the word go with these guys to start moving them over. So now they're over that hedge, they can just dash over here and hopefully get a resolution to the game. And over here I've just got to, well, they're no doubt going to come around here, kill a few of them. They have to deal with them, and then hopefully have time to deal with them. German turn 10, and there's not a lot left alive, folks. The infantry and the half-tracks unpinned. In terms of movement, they moved around for a mounted assault. The half-tracks came up to do some flaming. In terms of shooting, but all the planes arrived as well. It's important. In terms of shooting, these guys didn't really have much in the way of targets to affect what was going on over here anyway. So it was the armoured mortars didn't manage to get a kill here. The flamethrowers came in, killed one of the mortars over here, but didn't get a hit on these guys because they were going to ground. And then there was lots and lots of dice into here, but only 4 hits from machine guns from the half-tracks. So the assault went in, and it went to and fro for a little bit. The half-tracks stayed in, the guys stayed in, the HQ was there to help. And it resulted in, I think they lost maybe 3 bases. And yeah, they lost 4 bases, the Soviets, but in the end they managed to kill 3, force a break off that couldn't get far enough out with 6 inches because of these buildings here. So it's just in the formation that and that. So next turn, let's see if I can kill them. If I don't kill them, it's my own fault, and we're going to call it a draw. Right folks, let's have a quick recap with myself before we go over to Jacob. So first of all, I probably spent a hell of a lot of that game sort of like squeaky bum time. The assaults were just flying in against me, and if anything had gone wrong in any of those turns of assaulting, it could have been game over, almost right from the start. Now, even before the game began, I put myself under pressure by bringing on the 82mm mortars. I tend to put all the mobile stuff on the game with the scattered reserves, on the game at the start with the scattered reserves, because you don't know where they're going to come on, and if they're artillery, you want them on the table having an effect from the beginning because they're attritional weapons. But I made a mistake. The 82mm mortars were never really going to do anything against half-tracks, and most of the army was top armoured 0 minimum. There wasn't a lot of soft infantry running around. I should have left them off and had the assault tank platoon on. And if I had, I would have been able to get a lot more control of the game right from the start. That's my main learning point. Now, as for how the game played out, how the units worked and so on, pretty much as I expected, certainly as far as the Red Banners go. Really strong in defence. You know, you're going to find it really hard to shift them. They have got really good assault. So if you come in with tanks and they don't run away, they're going to hurt you when it comes to the assault phase. And then, pretty much as I thought as well, moving them forward, I only had the opportunity in one flank to move them forward because of my mistaken deployment. If they'd have gone up and carried on going out of those factories, then I think they would have just got machine gunned to bits by half-tracks and dug-in infantry. Don't think they would have got over. So I still believe it's going to be hard to be aggressive with them unless you're going to be trying to win the game in the first few turns through some kind of night attack maybe, but that's not always possible depending on the mission, you know. The IS2s, well, I never got to use them in assault. I wanted to see what they would do in assault, you know, with their high skill and the bed spring armour and so on, but I never got a chance. I was a little bit timid with them when the Panzer 470s arrived, just because I know myself, especially with my Soviets, I'm more than capable of rolling a 1 or a 2 to get killed. But then I moved them forward and they did what you would expect. They saved against all the anti-tank 14 coming in at long range, but it took them forever to destroy those IS2s, not IS2s, the Panzer 470s, because they only get one shot each, and that's always going to be a limitation for them. So 37 points, you know, I could have got a T-34 formation for that. Probably could have, with a couple of changes, got a Hero T-34 formation from Bagration, and you can imagine what that would have done in that game with lots more platoons of tanks running around the table, being right in about the objectives of the defenders. So IS2s, probably not, but the Red Banner Infantry, I think they're a great unit. You're just going to have to be clear on how you're going to play them. Right folks, there you go, there's a recap. First of all, Jacob, what did you think of the game? What did you think of your list and how things played out?
I feel like I probably overspent points in upgrading their skills, because I feel like while the careful and the veteran skill rating did help a lot, I feel like it just didn't give me enough bodies on the table, especially after that first assault got blunted. I felt like I had nothing that I could really press forward with until my reserves came on, and by that point it was a little too late because I'd let you take the initiative back. So I feel like if I'd spent some points on either not bringing the flame tracks and the second anti-air track platoon, I probably could have gotten another grenadier platoon, or just not taken the Hohenstaufen? No, Feldherrenhalle card. I probably would have at least had a third platoon on the table, which would have helped.
And what about the plane?
Yeah, planes. Yeah, well, that was a fun 10-point spend. I killed a tank.
Well, bailed.
Right, I didn't even kill it, that's right. Okay, I hurt a tank.
Like the two units that everyone who watches this game is going to think about is going to be the plane and it's going to be the Panzerwerfers, right? Because most people have strong opinions on them. So myself looking at it, the Panzerwerfers maybe killed about 4 bases all game, and the plane got a bail. If you had ordinary nebs, it wouldn't have cost as much points. You maybe could have had another platoon of Panzer 470s. But having said that,
Sure.
if you had ordinary Nebs, they would have been dead. They would have been wiped out from my mortar fire and everything. You know, so it kept those Panzerwerfers kept my mortars away from your infantry for large parts of the game. So it isn't all about absolute how much do they cost and what do they kill. There's more that a unit can do. Maybe the plane, maybe think like 10 points you could have used somewhere else. A third platoon infantry probably would have clinched it for you if you'd have got them on early enough. Because you would, you know, it's always when people just go for the jugular, anything can happen. You know, they can go in, hit in with the assault, and then the defender just legs it. Away they go. They feel the motivation, and you're like, hey, I've won. But it just didn't work out that way for you.
Yeah, it's just the way the dice work. Yeah, the aggressiveness is definitely something that I've been I've dealt with my regular opponents on my channel here, and it's just trying to channel that. No pun intended. And it could have worked. It definitely could have worked. I had that second turn assault. If you had failed your motivation in getting them in, yeah, that would have opened up that objective, and then I could very well have won at that point. But it is what it is. That was an amazing game. I loved seeing the assault rifles get play. That's the first time I've really been able to use that many assault rifles as well. Backed up with so many machine guns. A lot of firepower in this list. And yeah, I definitely agree with what you're saying about the Panzerwerfers. It kept your artillery off me. But at their points cost, I mean, even if I'd just taken a platoon of 2, which would have been half the cost, again, might have been able to fit in some more infantry, which would have helped.
Yeah, platoon of 2 is definitely an option. You might be re-rolling hits, but you've got such a large template, you're bound to cause some kind of damage.
Just with sheer weight of fire.
If you range in. But,
yeah, if.
But using the red banner here, you know, it went as I expected, in as much as it was very difficult for my infantry to do anything without getting shot to bits. They were really tough in defence. The first game we played, when Lawrence used them, they were really tough in defence as well. And in the end, they took a beating. All the platoons took a beating. Apart from the hero IS2s, they did okay, but they didn't have to deal with much. Only the heavy mortars got killed in the end. I'm surprised they lasted as long as they did, but they got killed. But the careful stuff all survived, you know, so that shows there is a definite benefit to be had from playing these careful Soviets. They might be expensive, but if you want a unit to hold on, maybe even just a support infantry platoon, then they're good for that. You know, I think they can hold on okay. As far as them being an attack-minded list, that'd be tricky, really tricky. Mine's not made up on that. And the IS2s in this game, I was wanting to see what they were like in assault, but never got the chance. It was just a big and long Mexican standoff with a 1 dice each per turn, so that took quite a long time before they even had a chance to get into the game, really. But there you go. Hopefully there was lots for people to see, lots of learning points for them for their own list building as well. Right, anyway, Jacob, that's us. We've had a good long game. The sun's up behind you now. It's probably time for you to go back to bed.
Well, actually, it's about time for me to go have a shower and go to work.
Oh dear. Oh well, at least we got it done in time for that. That's the fun for the day. But remember, folks, lack of Foresight Gaming, they're doing campaigns, games all the time, and I'm really looking forward to the Stalingrad campaign as it develops, and all the terrain they've got for the city fights. You know, it's really good 3D printed stuff. So you really need to tune in.
Yep, we have some good stuff coming.
It'll be great, folks. So tune in, subscribe, do all the good stuff, all the usual stuff that helps build channels and help Lack of Foresight build, but also help spread Flames of War across YouTube so people will find it more easily. YouTube, you know, there's people who might be interested in Flames of War, but YouTube won't push it to them unless they're already looking for it, unless they think it's a popular tabletop game, tabletop channel, then they'll push it wider. So just help folks help us out doing that, and you'll be doing us a favour. But there you go, folks. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing and dropping in from time to time and all the usual kind of things. Hopefully you enjoyed that, and we'll see you all on the next one. Cheers, Jacob.
Take care.